Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God,
Pastor Halp.
with liberty and justice for all.
My mind is going 1,000 miles an hour. Pastor Halpin. Would you like us to sit, stand?
Sure, would you remain standing while we pray? That'd be awesome. Let's bow for a word of prayer. Father, we come before you and we thank you for this day. We thank you for this town. Lord, we ask that you continue to guide these leaders as they direct, as they lead, as they protect, as they serve this community as a whole. We ask that you help them to see past individuals and to see community. Father, we thank you for their service to both you and this community and their country. May you sweeten the words tonight. May you give the ears grace to hear. And more importantly, may you give the leaders the ability to say the things needed at times to help this town to be and continue as the greatest town on the east end of Long Island. Lord, we ask your blessing upon each and every home in Riverhead and upon each and every family. And those you do call home, may you hold them safe until we're with them. Amen.
Amen. Pastor Halpin's from North Shore Christian. I understand it's the only church with a jumbotron. Is that for football or? Oh, sorry. Two jumbotrons. So if you're looking for the church with the jumbotron, there it is. But no organs. All right. I'm sorry, Jerry. Oh, I really have to get cheater glasses. Jody, did you see that?
I'll make a motion.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the town board meeting minutes of May 7th, 2013. So moved.
And seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The minutes are approved.
Oh, I'm sorry. The minutes are approved. John,
That's
Jim,
my shirt, that's not mine.
Jim, you want to make an announcement about this? You're downtown
Oh,
guy.
well, this Sunday is
Big
our
guy.
17th Annual Community Mosaic Street Painting Festival. It was sponsored by the East End Arts Council, and it's a beautiful event if you have a chance. Sunday's going to be a beautiful day, so you have a chance to come down and watch the artists and local residents who rent spaces to draw and use chalk painting on the street. And we ask that you join us at 12:30 at the Showmobile, which will be located behind the East End Arts. It won't be on Main Street this year. It's a new location this year for the opening ceremonies and learn more about the event. But it's a good community event. It's been going on for 17 years, so it's worth coming out for.
It is a great community event, and you want to see all the youngsters that are artists on the streets, and they do a great job with their drawings on the blacktop. So everybody should come down and watch it. It's very great.
My kids do it every year.
They do.
All right.
I like it better than the adults doing it, because you should see what the kids do there.
Does anybody want to mention the parade?
Memorial Day parade on Monday. And without looking at, do we know what time that's?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. And Memorial Day, I think it's usually 1 o'clock at Calverton National Cemetery
Yes.
for their service, if you will, as well. So I don't know that anybody's going to get to see this tape before Memorial Day, but happy Memorial Day, and hopefully the residents make it out to either the parade or Calverton National
We
Cemetery.
hope this tape is put up Friday.
Actually, they do put it up on Friday. So happy Memorial Day to everybody. And if you're sitting on your couch and it's Friday, get up and go to the parade. Where's the parade start, John?
It's going to be at Osborne Avenue and Pulaski Street at 10 o'clock. It goes down to the library, to the monument there. Then we go down Main Street to Roanoke Avenue, up Roanoke to Northville Turnpike, to the East Avenue, to the Riverhead Cemetery. And from there, we leave the Riverhead Cemetery and we go up Roanoke Avenue to Pulaski Street, to the Riverhead, St. John's Cemetery, and then we go to Riverhead Cemetery on Pulaski Street, and from there we go to the Memorial on Pulaski and Osborne.
All right.
Where you usually speak.
Yeah, I have to say something witty, I guess.
It's a shorter route though, so don't go on East Main Street. You got to catch it on West Main Street.
That's right.
All right, so happy Memorial Day, and hopefully the residents will take in either the parade or get over to what I think is the most sacred ground in the town, which is Galverton National Cemetery. All
Oh,
right.
wait, and after the parade, a contingent goes up to St. Isidore Cemetery on Riley, on
Reeves.
Osborne and,
Which cemetery?
St.
Reeves.
Isidore's.
Horton and Reeves.
Horton and Reeves. So we go up there and they do a service up there for the veterans who are buried up there.
All right, good, thank you. Thank you, Diane. Uh,
Yes, under correspondence, we have 4 pieces of correspondence from Peter Danowski, one letter.
Peter, you've been busy.
Yeah.
You've been causing me to be
We aim to please Peter.
One letter requesting a clearing permit for a project titled Nightland Incorporated, a petition to extend lateral water main for subdivision titled Christie Rose Court. Also, a letter regarding Driftwood Family Farms, the creation of a new wetland meadow system. Also, a letter regarding Irwin Garston proposed new retail center. Then from the Riverhead Garden Club, a letter requesting assistance from the town in the restoration efforts for the Davis Corwin Gardens at East End Arts on East Main Street. Under reports, the tax receiver tax collection to date as of May 8th, $72,741,172.50. Tax receiver tax collection to date May 15th, $77,522,039.05. The sanitation submitted their yard waste fee collection for April, and that was $11,700. Town clerk monthly report for April, $9,482.02. Applications that are pending town board approval, special events, Chapter 90. Cornell Cooperative Extension of Nassau County, a charity polo event at the 4-H camp on Sound Avenue in Riverhead, June 22nd. Peconic Community Row, Learn How to Row program on the Peconic Riverfront, June 1st. Polish Town Civic Association, annual Polish Town Street Fair, Pulaski Street and Osborne Avenue, August 17th and 18th. Ken Barra, Peconic Bay Medical Center, Carnival on Route 25A in Wading River, July 4th through 7th. Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Bike Tour through Riverhead, October 5th. Old Steeple Community Church Annual Antique Fair on their church grounds, Route 25 Accabook on August 24th. And that's it.
Okay. Any other committee reports? No? Tara, I have a pen. Sorry. Do you have an extra pen?
Yeah.
Get an extra? Is it extra?
I have extra.
I got
Oh,
extra.
thank you. We have 3 public hearings tonight. The first one is to start at 7:10, and let's check the phone. 7:08. Any committee reports? Dan, what are you doing for Memorial Day?
I'm marching in the parade.
Oh, okay. Bob? Marching? Hey,
Ah.
we're gonna let you ride in the parade.
I hope the weather's nice.
All right, that looks like 7:10 to me. 7:10 having arrived just about. We're going to open up a public hearing for a consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 62 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Excavations. Bob, I don't know if you want to say.
Yeah, I'll say a couple comments. I know that this is something that's been looked at for a while by my office, and we looked at some other legislation that's on the books, including the Part 360 regulations that are in place for the DEC concerning the amounts of bulk materials that can be brought onto a particular piece of property, those that are exempt and those that require registration. And we incorporated those numbers into the proposed legislation that's before the board today, and defining a certain amount that would be exempt from a Chapter 62 application when it's being done in conjunction with agricultural production as defined in the Ag and Markets Law. In the past, under 62.5, the first sentence provided that a owner or lessee who's involved in agricultural production would be entitled to, may qualify for an agricultural assessment and be exempt. And then the next sentence said that in order to receive the certificate of exemption, they needed to go forward and get that exemption from the town board. The idea is to remove that exemption requirement if their described activity falls within the exemption. There's some additional definitions added, such as grade, material, natural drainage, natural grade, natural watershed. In addition, there are other changes that are set forth in 62.4, which will require that anyone who's seeking an excavation permit under 62, where they're required to obtain a site plan approval, also have in hand a building permit or foundation permit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this? Mr. Danowski.
I do have several generic comments to make about the pre-existing law, the current law, and what you're proposing now before I address two specific clients and testify about the special facts of those particular clients' matters. I always think when you talk the word exemption, that means someone doesn't need a permit, they're exempt. And it's sort of bothersome that we create these statutes that let the elected officials decide by resolution whether you're exempt. So if a farmer in agricultural production is subject to this chapter, they have to go before the building department, file an application, and then have you crown them exempt. I think if you're going to create laws in the town and talk about exemptions, by definition, they shouldn't have to come before you for a resolution of approval. So I think you should go back to the drawing board when you start talking about exemptions. Second, and it's always bothered me, that you lump the word excavation together with importation and exportation. And rumor has it that a number of years ago you felt that somehow you had the power to, as some might suggest, establish a taxing system for the importing and exporting of material. If that was the goal, then talk about importing and exporting, but not excavation. Now you're creating a law that you think is going to be farmer friendly, but it absolutely does the opposite. It says to you, and I got a feeling that whoever wrote this law didn't understand what prime soils and the definition is, hasn't gone to the USDA mapping or categorizing, because you'd understand that some areas are categorized as non-prime areas on a piece of farmland. And why are they not prime? Because they have a steep grade. Just think about it naturally. If water comes down on a steep grade over a period of time, soils wash away. So you have a goal in the same section in Chapter 62. It's a good goal. It says you want to protect, encourage prime soils. And then you pass a law that says a farmer can't excavate and grade his property to create more prime soils. It's self-defeating legislation. So you're saying, let's make sure when we write this law, we're not going to let the farmer grade from that natural grade that exists there today to create more prime soils. Self-defeating, crazy. Why would you say that? All right, now, why would you even use the word excavation in the ordinance? So the first generic question that comes out, is a farmer going to have to apply to the town board for a resolution? And are you going to say on an annual basis that farmers have to apply for an excavation exemption? I'm not talking importing, exporting at this moment. I'm talking about excavating. Every farmer excavates, and if he changes the natural grade of his property, he's not exempt. And you're going to have to issue him a permit and require all the material you require on an application for a clearing permit for excavating his farm? Are you kidding me? I know Ag and Markets has supplied you, or at least the supervisor, with a letter. At least I have a copy of the letter that's addressed to Mr. Walter, and I'll hand those up in a minute. I may have provided them already to one or more board members. So I think you better take a serious look backward on this legislation. Eliminate the word excavation. let exemptions for farmers be exempt and not have to go through a process with you folks. The second part that Mr. Kozakevich mentioned was this concept that you go through a year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, forget the number of years, process for site plans in the town with the town's planning board. At the end of the day, you've been swept, you've been graded and drainaged to death, okay? You've had outside consultants study, clients pay for some of the services because you passed laws saying they have to pay for the services. At the end of the day, what more can you possibly need? And now what you've said, even currently, is that you got a site plan resolution of approval that's been studied to death and approved fully with a full site plan resolution, covenants filed, whatever necessary done. You say, oh, by the way, even if it's a balanced cut and fill plan, even if you're not importing or exporting any material, you've got to go to the town building department and fill out a clearing permit application. Oh, and by the way, the building department doesn't issue the clearing permit. We got to then go to the town board for a resolution of approval to issue the clearing permit. Wow. All right, so you folks now think that you should be granting exemptions. It shouldn't be just exempt. You think that a site plan's not good enough. You need a clearing permit, building department, and town board resolution. And by the way, I'm told that you can't even pass the resolutions until you have a work session meeting to discuss it. Okay, further delay. Now, you get late fall, early winter, and a project is coming to the end of the planning board process. Asphalt plants are shut down. Concrete plants are shut down. A client hasn't gotten his construction drawings done because he won't possibly know what the final site plan is going to be until he gets the resolution of approval. Now he's got his resolution approval and he wants to run. He wants to get building. He wants to clear. He wants to establish his grades, put maybe his parking in, put the rough coats down, put the curbing in. So in the spring, when taxable status day comes, guess what? The town might look at him and say, you've done some improvements. We can increase your tax bill. All right? And then he can have his construction drawings done during the winter and pull his building permit. Now what you're proposing is a further delay on receiving taxes. You're not going to allow someone in late fall, unless he has full building permits with construction drawings done, to be able to move forward with his project and clear the land. You're delaying him through the late fall, through the winter, to the early spring. A real loss for the town at no gain. You've got a detailed site plan, you got covenants, you got permits and bonding. You actually need to instill this extra requirement. Now let's talk about a couple of people that I represent. Let's first talk about the Nightland clearing permit situation. You know, and I know, because I've caused letters to be written to the town board, and I've done them in the beginning of time by filing a clearing permit. Balanced cut and fill, full site plan, covenanted as approved, highway permits in place, bonding done for highway permits, ready to clear. Ready to clear. I'm told, oh, you need a golden nematode letter for this wooded land in Wading River. Okay, well, get the golden nematode letter. We had a list of other questions we supplied the answers to, all of which arguably, after the site plan is finished and after the Mylar and paper prints are signed, gets distributed to the building department. But the building department asked me the same questions that they must have already known the answers to. But I responded to that by letter. I was then told, oh, you can't get your clearing permit resolution, even though you're not importing or exporting. Why? Because the town board did not discuss it at a work session. I said, geez, there's a work session coming up. Hopefully it'll be discussed. And then hopefully I'll have my resolution, because what right do you have to deny the clearing permit? You don't have any right to do that. That work session went. Nobody on the town board called for a discussion. No one placed it on the agenda. Another town board work session came. Nobody, again, put it on the agenda. No one discussed it. And obviously no resolution has passed. And guess what? If you think now you can pass a law that says I can't have my clearing permit until I pull a building permit, We'll see you in court. There's no question about that. Just so people don't forget, I want to hand up, make part of the record, the clearing permit documentations and the enclosure letters and the requests for work sessions and resolutions. I want this part of the hearing minutes. Now let's go a second time and before you, and I certainly, although I might say late in the game, I do appreciate the work session meeting the other day for the Mezaneski family who are seated before you in the front row. I think Councilman Wooden, you might not have been at the meeting, but I got my letter. Okay, there's a series of letters here, and this is something similar in the sense that my letter, which was time-stamped in at the town clerk's office, addressed to the town board and the building department, is dated January 29th. I'm going to hand it up and make it part of the record along with the other documents I comment on. January 29th. And with that letter, my client was good enough to put together a pictorial display of photographs kind of pointing out the situation on site. And so January 29th, we delivered documents, town board, town clerk, building department. Here it is. I say, I read the statute you're now talking about amending, and I say, clearly this is done for agricultural production, and clearly I'm exempt, except that your code says you must grant the exemption. Wow. Word exempt, but I have to get your clearance. So I'm expecting people will take a look at it, react to it, take a couple of weeks. I invited you to visit the site, and Councilman Gabrielson, I appreciate your having recently visited the site. But February went, March went, April went. No one responded back to me in writing. I eventually get a meeting on, I think it was May 9th, 8th or 9th, and we discuss matters with the work session. And we again say, look, here's the situation, here are the facts, check our farm out in Orient, and we had a brochure produced as well for the Orient farm as well as the Riverhead farm. You know, go out and see how beautiful it is. We're raising privet on a lot of acreage. We're doing a wonderful job. We've been recently damaged by the storm. You know, we're real farmers out there. Then I say, talk to any farmer in the neighborhood. Talk to Joe Gergella from the Farm Bureau. Talk to anyone that's been out to that site before Mr. Mezaneski got there. And tell me how attractive it was. And I'm not blaming anybody historically for the condition of the farm at the time. We bought it. But he has done a magnificent job of restoring the buildings, keeping the historical water tower structures, and making the place look as magnificent as it can. And what he wants to do is increase the amount of prime soils on the property. And as he told you at the work session, if one of the thoughts was that you felt that we should build this out in phases, you could give us the permit or give us the exemption and say, you know what, do phase one. We'll give you the full permit, but you're not going to start phase two until we see you in agricultural production on phase one. We agreed to that kind of condition. And we show the phase lines on the map. After the meeting, I redelivered maps. Unfortunately, we renumbered them the different ways, so 6 became 1. But I corrected that in my last letter to the town attorney. So we're there saying, how long do we wait to exercise what we consider to be our right to move forward? And, you know, whether fair or unfair, if you're going to say all farmers that want to import and export have to pay a fee, we'll pay that fee, but don't delay us in the process for the year's worth of matters that a farmer would have to go through if you consider this some form of site plan. Farmers should be exempt for agricultural production purposes. They should produce whatever plan shows what they want to do. You should look at them, verify they're in the ag district, verify they're farmers, ask reasonable questions, come out and see the farm in Orient, do any of those things. But you should act promptly and encourage farmers to be there. this land continues to exist, continuing the agricultural production. Even if I were to develop this as an industrial plan and put buildings on it and no longer farm, I'd have to grade the land the same way. It's almost impossible to put buildings on it. So we've done, and the town clerk made mention of it, we consulted with the USDA. We consulted with their recommendations. They suggested a wet meadow system at the back of the property, at a low area in the property. We're willing to construct that. We show it on the plan. We've done everything possible to do things the right way, and yet the answer seems to be that let's see how we can stop this guy. And the reason I make really what bothers him was we're at this May 8th or 9th meeting, and the board knew that typed up on May 7th, I presume they knew, was a notice to call this public hearing. Wow. Calling a public hearing, you knew about it, you noticed it, you talked to us, and no one bothers to say, oh, by the way, we're going to have a public hearing that changes all the definitions, changes things around, eliminates what you want to do. Well, I would say this, you want to change the law, and I say this many times, you really want to change it and affect all farmers, go ahead. I think you have to consult with Ag and Markets by law. I think you want to encourage prime soils. I think you want to not do what you're doing in this proposal. But at the end of the day, if you adopt legislation, make it prospective only, not retroactive to people who are in the hopper now. And it includes my clients, specifically the Mezaneski family. It also includes Ken Barra and Nightland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Pete, I just have one statement and a question for you. I've been out to the farm, but there's big gates that are closed.
Yeah, what you
So
do,
I'm not gonna drive up and start looking for people, so I just keep going.
okay,
I guess they're closed. I see they're working on the house and they're working in there, but I just don't know, you know.
here's the response to that. Here's a response to that, and I appreciate this, and I don't mean this as a criticism. George Gabrielson found a way to get in there the other day. Okay, he didn't climb over the fence. The town attorney gave me a call, said George wants to come out.
But he has a
But we were-
four-wheel drive truck, and I have a car, and a new one, so I
Chain
don't want to
cutters.
scratch it up. My wife don't want me to scratch it up.
Well, the other thing is we made George, or he volunteered, I'm not sure which, take a walk as opposed to ride around.
Yeah, we walked around 42 acres. Bob Kazakevich was out there, Drew was out there, so we did an inspection, and I think a result of our tour.
I will say
Come
this
back
too.
quick.
I will say this too, that one of the other comments and criticisms over the years has been dirt bike activity and people trespassing on properties and a need to secure this facility. And we've deer fenced the perimeter of this property. That's why you see the gating there. So we don't want people trespassing. Even I went out there one day and had to call up Steve to get in and stuff, and then some woman is walking around the barns, looking inside the barns. She doesn't have anybody's permission. She just thought it was, she's out in the country, she could walk around and look around. I said, pretty amazing. I also just recently, I said, touch base with your neighbors. Robin Gibbs, next door on the horse farm. Go say hello. And so they did, and I think they had a very good conversation. She welcomes the Mezaneskis to the neighboring property. She appreciates the facts the deer fence went up, sets a demarcation line for our horses. So I think, unlike other people in the area who might have wanted to do different things, this application gains the support of its neighbors. And all you're going to do is improve the amount of farmland and the amount of prime soils and handle runoff in a better way. So I'll hand this up.
I wasn't finished.
Give me 5 questions.
The other one is, I heard, and I spoke to people that have been here, that water that we were talking about is a natural drain from the north to Canoe Lake.
I understand.
And I thought that they said they were gonna keep it there, but they were gonna make it nicer.
That is correct. Howard
Is that
Young.
correct?
Howard Young said that he has prepared his plan consistent with not interfering with matters, but not adding to the flow, which you would not want, because as a goal on anyone's property, you try to retain as much of the water on its site. That's why the depressed area at the back of the property is going to be a newly created, wet meadow system. And also what we noted, and you folks did too, that it is sort of unfortunate, but the water flies off the state highway, and it certainly comes from the north coming through there. So we're not interfering with the progress of what that natural stream may be. But what we're trying to do in addition to that is to keep what we do on our property by creating this extra drainage area.
And the last statement I want to make is we do not put things on a work session. The supervisor does. So we go ask him, he does the schedule.
Right under the
and
bus.
so if he doesn't want to go on, it doesn't go on, because we've had 3 votes to put something on, and we come and it's not on because he doesn't want to put it on. So we cannot just say, let's put this on
Just
the work
stuff me
session.
further.
Well, I'm only telling. I'm only telling you that-
He said that we can put it on. We can't.
That's why from now on, you'll see, I send letters to each individual town board
Good idea.
member. And when I do that, I always propose, and I would think you individual people, I think you've got your own independent thoughts and ability to say, you know what, if 3 board members want to move something to get it considered and discussed, I would tend to think they would have the ability to do that.
I think so.
My end of statement, though, I
Peter.
appreciate everyone's comments and the opportunity to speak.
I just want to point out that Mr. Mezaneski himself said at the last work session that he wasn't pushing this and didn't necessarily care whether we acted on it in the spring because he wanted to beautify the buildings, and so he wasn't in any rush for this.
No, I
And unless that changed, I mean, I think that's what he said. He wanted to get the buildings up, looking better, clean the farm operation up, show the community what he was all about, what his family was all about, and now he's ready to proceed with the application. That's the way I took his conversation.
Well,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I just think you want to say that we did clean up the area, so that's in the past. We never asked to delay the review, never asked that in any way, but it is a fact that with issued permits from the building department, we have cleaned up the area, fixed it up, and it looks very, very attractive. I
Nice.
think
Yeah,
anybody that's been there,
I can't get in, but it looks nice from the outside.
we're going to get you in. We're going to get you in. We're going to
Listen,
pick you up, take you for a
What
ride.
you're saying is this is going to make him more difficult for
Yes.
him to do this.
Yes.
if we pass
Absolutely.
this Before we approve what he wants to do.
And we can't approve what you
Okay.
want because we had to do, this is the wrong forum for this, but I'm telling you, we went to the DEC, you need a sand mining permit from the DEC.
I'm telling you, we filed an application with the DEC, and prior to filing it, the general comments, and we did have meetings with the DEC, was what's the opinion of the town? And so we need
the
a
opinion-
cooperation between the town and the state. And if the town says you need the state, and the state says you need the town, we could argue about whether each of them are right, but we're going to both agencies. Thank you.
Okay, give us a copy of the sand mining application you filed with the state DEC. I'd like to have that for the record.
Pete,
It's not moving forward without that
if you
application.
give it up Route 58, I think a lot of people on Route 58 will need DEC lit sand mining permits, because look at Northville Turnpike. They have to be taking out at least 300 or 400 yards of sand out of that location.
Look,
We just don't have anybody to police it, to look at it.
all I want to say is apples and oranges, there's different projects. All I'm suggesting to you is simplify the process for all people, especially farmers. Encourage more farmland to be created, and if you go through a process, make it a quick process.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Danowski. You're right.
Dominic, thank you for that map back, though.
Oh,
I did say that before, but thank you.
yes, you're welcome, no problem. Figured you needed it back. This is floppy again. I hate that. Okay, Dominique Mendez, Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition. It's going to come as a great surprise to everyone that I don't agree with Mr. Danowski on a number of points. I know, it's shocking. I think it's perfectly reasonable to try to prevent a situation where land is cleared, where no building ever happens. What's the rush to clear if you're not ready to build? If Ken Barrett or whomever intends to build, it seems to me that Mr. Danowski may have been overstating a little bit the hardship it would create to get the building permit and the clearing permit. I mean, we've all seen land that seems to get cleared overnight. It can happen extremely quickly. And so to tie those two things together seems to make perfect sense to me. And you'll have to excuse my notes. I'm not a lawyer, so I have to go by my notes.
I appreciate that.
I mean, there are a lot of reasons that development might not happen. Financing falls through, the tenants back out, a lawsuit's lost. Maybe the landowner never intended to develop. Some people just wanted the sand mine. Some people say they're going to farm and just clear their land and never farm. I mean, things happen. We all know, but not everyone's forthcoming and honest about what their plans are and may have other motives for land clearing. And sometimes they just want to get a jump on it. They're anxious. Whatever. It doesn't seem to be a particular hardship. And when you look all around Long Island and see all those places where land was cleared and where nothing was ever developed, you think, what a crime. If we could prevent that from happening and take a step towards doing that, why shouldn't we? And I think it's the government's responsibility to do that. And that would be a step in the right direction. I don't think it would actually pose that much of a hardship because we all, like I said, see how quickly land can be cleared. If you're going to intend to build, get the building permit at the same time. It doesn't seem at all unreasonable. Thank you for considering it.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
How you doing, Joe?
Good evening, Supervisor, members of the board. I'm Joe Gergella, Executive Director of the Farm Bureau, 104 Edwards Avenue in Calverton. I'm a little bit upset, which I'll talk about specifically about the hearing part in a second. 2 months ago, I brought this issue to, and I talked to Jill, and Jill says, I'll get this to the town attorney's office, which she did. And I want to also publicly thank her for putting together some meetings this week on different matters with the Farm Bureau, with a couple other town agencies. So Jill has been very helpful, and we're the agency people. We had 2 productive meetings, one on TDR today. Yesterday, it was about SWIP on a particular project up in Bating Hollow, Wading River area. But anyhow, it went very well, so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you,
But
Joe.
after I brought this particular code problem, it says farmers are exempt, but you got to go to the town board. And we were like, wow, we didn't realize this. So we brought it to Jill. Jill took it to the town attorney's office. I've not heard one word back until yesterday. Jill handed me a copy of the proposed revision to the code.
I apologize because I did ask Anne Marie Prudenti to send this to you at the same time or before we put it on for public hearing, and if she hadn't done that, I apologize.
I had a conversation with Anne Marie yesterday, very
Working
cordial.
she works pretty hard.
She does, and she's very good at what she does, and very supportive, okay? And this town board has been. I'm very concerned about this particular thing, because essentially, you're setting a precedent, and I do agree with Pete Danowski. He said a lot of things that I would love to say, but I couldn't tonight. But be that as it may, we have a problem with the notion that you got to go to the town board for permission to farm. You're going to have people calling you saying, what's that guy doing out in his field over there? Maybe he's filling in a hole because of the rain the night before. Maybe doing simple, ordinary farming things that now you're going to require a permit for. And we have a strong philosophical objection to that, and I question also the validity of the certain exemptions, both in ENCON law and Ag and Markets law. So before you pass this code, I would like to run it by Ag and Markets for an opinion. Okay? It's a philosophical thing. Now,
You know, Joe, you
go
know
ahead.
where the problem, you know where the problem is.
I do.
And I know where the problem is.
Right.
One of the issues that Mr. Danowski is bringing up, the sheer volume of material makes it look way more like a sand mining operation than a farm. And this town has been bit in the you-know-what on at least one, maybe 2 occasions by people pretending to be farmers. So we've got to come to some with you,
Absolutely.
not Ag and Markets, with Long Island Farm Bureau.
Okay, what I propose then is that let's get to the table with Anne Marie and Bobby, or whoever you want, and sit down and hammer this out,
Agreed.
so that there is some thresholds, so that we make sure that people do things appropriately. But we don't want a situation where people doing normal farming activities have to get a permit to do such.
I
And the way it
absolutely-
is right now, that's the way it
Absolutely
reads.
agree.
Yeah, it shouldn't read that, Joe. I totally agree with you. Anything done on the farm, whether it's clearing trees, excavation, stays in the farm, should be totally exempt, shouldn't have to come
Our
here.
world is
When you get
cheap.
involved with exporting, that's where it gets tricky. I think that's the difference.
And I'll say this
importing,
publicly.
But otherwise, I think it should
I
be
know,
exempt.
and I didn't come here to talk about Steve's project, but I'll tell you this. The man is a member of the Farm Bureau. He's highly regarded throughout the East End for the way he does things. This guy is a serious businessman. He is not going to do anything to violate the situation. Okay? I know him. I know what he's done. I know a lot of people that are friends of his. And I assure you, he's a legitimate businessman. Now, I know about the bad actors, and that's what I want to get to, is that we need a threshold that would trigger that particular thing. You guys got to figure out, I'm not the lawyer, I can't tell you what's got to go to DC or not, but I can tell you that Mr. Danowski and Mr. Mezaneski are going to do things according to the book.
I can appreciate that, Joe, and I'm looking at this for the first time and understand what might have been a catalyst to get this going. And I absolutely agree that everybody should have some input to make this make sense. That I'll give you. But I don't think that this was written in any way to be
I'm not
punishment.
suggesting
I know
that.
everybody's advocating and I don't think
It was an attempt to try and address it, but the way that it's addressed, I don't think is good public
Yeah,
policy.
you came into me over the winter time and we talked about it, and that's really what the genesis of this was. I didn't write it, Anne Marie wrote it.
But-
why don't we do this?
Let's see if we can get to the
Let's
table and
sit
figure
down
this
with
out.
Anne Marie, Farm Bureau, and try to see if we can come up with, because I don't want to impact the farmer's ability to farm. But I have heard word, and Mr. Mezaneski, you need to understand this, there are a half a dozen other applications watching this. And if the town's not careful, we approve yours, and Calverton is going to be one ginormous sand mine that is someday going to be converted back to a
I don't
farm.
know,
and the
right
town
down by
can't
my
do it.
office on Edwards Avenue, there's a big hole right there for a bus company. It's economic development in the proper zone. Okay, there's a lot of land being moved.
And that's exactly, that is all regulated, and everybody knew what was happening there, and that's the difference. Under a site plan, you file your cut and fill, we know what's happening.
Yeah.
Here you don't.
I guess what my point is don't punish the people that are doing the right thing. And this punishes good people that otherwise are gonna have to come to the town board to get a determination whether they're doing normal accepted farming practices. I think it goes too far. We need to sit down and work out a better solution.
That's what the public hearing's
Absolutely
all
agree.
about.
Well, what we'll
Okay.
do is we'll do
I don't wanna
that.
belabor the point. I know that you got other
We'll-
business here.
We'll do that, and the point that I want everybody to understand is that what we do with, what, if anything, with the Mezaneski farm, which this really has nothing, shouldn't be even discussed at this public hearing, has to be done in a way that Calverton doesn't become one gigantic sand mine masquerading as a farm. And that's what I understand a half a dozen more applications out there looking to do the same thing. And I don't think that's what you want to see, and I don't think that's what the board wants
No,
to see.
and we totally get that, and I don't think that's the case here. Like I said, if you do a little homework, go see his place in Orient. He's been out in the Hamptons. He's got a very solid reputation. And he'll do what is required by this body and the state of New York. We just want to make sure that the precedent of bad public policy, that's what I'm concerned about.
I agree.
All right, thank you for your time and for listening.
Joe, I just thought we had everything straightened out at the work session when Mr. Zaneski said that he would only do 2 to 3 acres at a time and plant. So it's not creating a hole, it's not taking much dirt out of there. As he takes it out, he plants, he grows, he does a little more, and I thought we had that all worked out. I assume we don't, though.
And again,
Maybe-
that's
maybe
Mr.
not.
Danowski's business with Mr.
Maybe, maybe not.
Mazinowski. I'm looking at this more globally, that we don't want to punish the,
Yeah,
the
right.
farm community over what's history. And I know about the history, and I agree with you that we need a mechanism, but
Well,
let's
right,
think
we
it
need
out
something
better.
global, something that can be related to everything and not
Right.
site-specific. I understand that.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right, thanks,
much.
Joe.
Thanks.
Mr. Mazineski.
Yes,
Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Mazineski.
Mazineski.
My name's Stephen Mazineski from Driftwood Farms, which everybody probably knows by now. I just want to publicly say I am opposed to the amendment, the way it is written. It should be looked at a little closer. I also just wanted to let you, I'm sorry but this is my son Cole.
They live a life.
We have, as everybody knows by now, we have a large farm production out in Orient. All the land that we're operating on is in development rights sold agricultural land. So we tried to we were looking for a piece of commercial industrial land with agricultural easements on it so that we could expand our farm operation and do the things we're not able to do on the development rights sold land. There's no land available like that in Southold. Where's the closest place? We came to Riverhead. We found a piece of property that we could do this on. It was in the ag program, but needed a lot of work to get it up to running for my son to be the next generation of farmer out here. We've invested millions and millions of dollars. We were looking to Riverhead to come here and say, hey, you know what? We can get this up and running. He can have it. Maybe his kids will be in Riverhead farming here.
We should hear from him.
I feel as though I've come to you guys really up forward, right from the get-go in January. Never heard anything back. If I was trying to do something behind everyone's back here, I wouldn't have went to the USDA, I wouldn't have went to NRCS, I wouldn't have had the Farm Bureau come out, I wouldn't have had, the government come out and help me draw a comprehensive plan of how to do this and do it properly so that it will be prime soils on commercial industrial land.
And I think that's I agree with you 100%, and I actually think what you want to do is, what you say you want to do, you're going to do.
We are.
The problem is that we can't set ourselves up to approve something in a way that the next guy's gonna come in and take another 500,000 cubic yards of sand and nothing is left of it. And then
I
the next
understand.
guy after that, and our code seems to not be well written, and our proposed code may even be worse than the original code, so, we've got problems when,
My thing
we're
is
trying to work
with this
through 'em.
plan that we had put forth to you, I don't see someone else coming and doing this unless
Oh,
they're
I
gonna
do.
dig a hole. If you have a piece of property that you have the topography around you on every other adjoining property is at a certain elevation, you're gonna bring that property to the same elevation, there's gonna be no hole. It's gonna be a flat piece of land that will be usable in the agriculture, and you're not gonna have a hole.
Bob, that may be the way the code should be addressed, is that by elevations and not by cubic yards.
But
I think that may be the way to do it, because I guarantee you, there's one sand mine in Calverton that they have Christmas trees at the bottom and they call it a farm.
You do not farm at the bottom of a hole. You
Yes.
farm on flat level land that has prime soils on it. And anyone who says they're gonna farm in a hole is pulling the wool over your eyes. You can't do it.
But in our code, you may be able to do it, so that's
Correct.
why we've got to figure out a way to make the code that it works for farmers, and it even works for industrial uses, but doesn't allow us to, we've got more than our fair share, we've got plenty of sand mines in this town.
But the
We
way
don't
that
need
that's
more.
written, if you are to say that a farmer cannot change the grade of his property by importing or exporting, which is how it's written, the natural grade will not be able to be changed. It's poorly written. If you have a major storm, 4 inches of rain, and a farmer has huge washouts, they have a farm across the street with a hill on it, he wants to go in there, dig in the bank, bring the material across the street, and fill it all in on a major grading plan, you're legally not allowed to do that without coming to you guys to ask for permission
Well, you had a
first.
lawyer write this, so we've got to sit down with the Farm Bureau, wherever Joe went, he's outside, and try to work through it so it works. And we'll do it, we'll get there.
And I just want to say thank you guys for all the time you've taken out to review this with us, and, we're we're full-hearted here, and we're looking for, you know, like I said, the next generation in
How
Riverhead.
old is Cole?
17.
Thank you, Ms. Mozek.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I missed you Thursday, I was in Florida.
My last comment is I think we start an application and we send a letter in and we don't hear. Sometimes worse than a no is a no response. So I'm hoping that you won't adopt this legislation, but I also hope you'll move forward and engage us in discussion to see how we could be granted the exemption with whatever reasonable conditions you might set forth.
And I
Thank you.
apologize for that too, Mr. Danowski, because I normally reserve Wednesdays for Pete Danowski Day, because you write so much, but it must have got stuck under another person's day. So.
Thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this?
I just want to say one thing. I want to, the deputy who was asked to do the legislation was given a very difficult task. I don't think it was poorly drafted. I think it was just difficult to draft. The problem that the supervisor has addressed is that when we're dealing with zoning, we have to deal with something across the board, regardless of who the person is, regardless of who the user is, regardless of whether the person has a good reputation, bad reputation, no reputation. And it's designed to try and alleviate a perceived, perhaps, issue, perceived problem. Nobody wants to stop a farmer from filling in a hole when they've had a washout. Nobody wants to prevent a farmer from tilling, because if tilling means excavating, then we have a problem. And I, as a farm boy or a farm hand, whatever my brother wants to call me when he asks me to work,
Lawyer.
I know that better than anybody else. And nobody wants to be adverse to agriculture industry. Agriculture has changed. I'll be the first. Having grown up on a farm, I'm not really sure I know where the box is anymore. I don't know where farming starts and ends, but I know what is truly farming. I know what's maybe on the borders. And we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll ask, for input from Joe Gregel if he's still here.
We'll have the farmhand work on the legislation.
You know, I just always say two things that sometimes weeks become months, become years. And I always take this posture that you should not have laws applied retroactively. At the same time, when you honestly say to us, would you live with certain conditions, as we had a give and take at the work session, we can say yes to many of those things, even though there's not a law created. For instance, John was just commenting on what came out of the work session about phase lines on the plan. More than happy to do that. So Jody came up with a comment about conversion at a later date. More than happy to do that about numbers. So the client and I can move forward without new legislation on reasonable conditions that you might want, and you can see clearly by looking at this land that whatever decision you write or whatever grant you give, that it's clearly distinguishable from any other piece of property, because there aren't too many like this in the town of Riverhead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to be heard on this? Not seeing anybody, we will close the public comment portion and leave it open to written comment until the 31st of May. We have two more public hearings this evening. The second public hearing is scheduled for 7:15. It is now 8:54. 7:54. It is consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 108 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Zoning Site Plans. 108-127 review authorizes approval required penalties, issuance of permits, and certificates of occupancy expiration. I open this hearing at now almost 55. Bob, did you want to say anything about this? What do we do?
This is a very small change where we're amending the site plan review ordinance to indicate that there should be no land clearing or excavation or grading or filling unless, in addition to a land clearing permit being issued pursuant to Chapter 52, that a permit also, as required by 62 or 63, also be required.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? Not hearing anybody,
That's
we'll
what
close.
Dominique was alluding to.
Yeah, I think we have to look at this one too.
No. Well,
Yeah, you don't decide. Excavating a tree removal. That's what he was talking about.
I mean, I think both I and Mr. Danowski kind of did touch on this issue, right,
yes.
Yes.
already. So maybe you include that testimony
For you?
into this. Can you do that?
Sure.
Yes, we hereby incorporate the entire
Whatever she said last time.
hearing
yeah.
for the 7:05 hearing into
That
the
works.
7:15 hearing.
See? Now we don't have to say it all over
7:10
again.
hearing into the 7:15 hearing.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, not seeing anybody else that wants to be heard on this matter, we will close this public hearing and leave it open to written comment until May 31st. And we have a third public hearing scheduled for 7:20, and it is now 7:56. This is a consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 101 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Traffic Regulations, weight limit 8 tons. John, is this one of yours?
Yes. I'll just say, this is a public safety change because Pulaski Street is a very narrow street. So when trucks come to go through with the stores, our cars are parked on both sides of the street, and it's dangerous for the western or eastern cars. They have to pull over and let large trucks pass them. Marcy Avenue there's no residence on this portion of Marcy Avenue, it's all business. So it's a lot easier to let the trucks that are coming from the west go down Marcy Avenue, Route 25, to go east instead of going
village.
through Pulaski Street in the business section of Pulaski Street.
All right, does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Not seeing anybody, I'll close the public comment portion and leave it open for written comments till May 31st. All right, does anybody wish to comment on resolutions? Not seeing them. Diane?
Oh, are we gonna do CDA?
Yes?
I'd like to close the town board meeting and make a resolution to open the CDA meeting for resolution. So moved.
And seconded?
I'll second.
I seconded it.
Oh, you seconded it.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
Yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten?
Go ahead, yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
CDA meeting is open. CDA Resolution Number 6 authorizes professional services agreement for the air traffic control subject matter expert.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
This is to try and get the FAA to come to EPCAL Alberton. Yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes, this fellow's been doing this job for months for free, and we know we have to submit more information to the FAA. It's gonna take him a lot longer, so, I think that we should compensate him, and so I vote yes.
Walter?
Yes.
The resolution is therefore duly adopted. Resolution number 7 ratifies execution of amended and restated temporary use agreement by the chairman of the Town of Riverhead Community Development Agency for the use of the runway at the Enterprise Park at Calverton for the temporary storage of cars damaged by Hurricane Sandy.
I'll move it.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
I would have liked to have stuck with the initial contract of $167,000 a month, but seeing as they were going to leave, I would take the $50,000 a month rather than nothing at all, so I'll vote yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
The resolution is therefore duly adopted, and that completes the business of the CDA.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion, we
You
close
have
the
a good day.
CDA meeting and reopen the town board meeting. So moved.
Seconded. Jim, now you say it. Moved and seconded, vote please.
Moved and seconded, vote
Vote
please.
okay.
Giglio?
Yes.
Been a long day.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
The town board meeting is now reopened. Resolution 400.
400, Brixmore Property Group Water Service Capital Project Budget Adoption. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
Yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 401.
2012 General Town Capital Projects closure, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
Yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten?
Yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 402.
Open Space and Ethic Committee's budget adjustment. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
I'd like to thank George and Jody both for this. Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 403.
It's a resolution of support and authorization for application by the Riverhead Sewer District to the Suffolk County Infrastructure Grant Program. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 404.
Approve support of Eyes on Main Street Arts Program. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I guess everyone's being thank you, so I have to thank Councilman Wooten for bringing this to us.
Oh, no, she,
Yeah.
well, she brought herself to us.
Well, you met her in the Star,
Yeah, I had eyes.
Probationary.
I had eyes on her.
and you had eyes, so you brought her here. So, I vote yes.
Walter.
No, I'm gonna abstain. I was out that day.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 405.
Awards bid for GE Evolve LED Series Avery Post Top Streetlight. So moved.
And seconded.
Discussion on this. Tara put a note on this. This 90,000 is coming out of the street lighting budget.
Yeah, originally the CBA had given grant money to the street lighting. They bought the ones, the LED lights that went.
Oh, for,
Yeah, and then now this, they're just swapping it back.
we bought the LED lights for the,
The grant money on Osborne,
and in Wading River, they did them too.
yeah.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Shoots a hole in the street lighting budget, that's for sure.
Resolution 406.
Authorize the town clerk to publish and post the attached notice to bidders for light poles for Main Street. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 407.
407 accepts the resignation of a groundskeeper one. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
He did a great job for us, and I wish him well. Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Again, I wish Ezra luck on his new endeavors. I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 408.
Authorize supervisor to execute an amended settlement agreement with Crown Sanitation. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 409.
Approves Chapter 90 application of Jamesport Fire Department to conduct the Fireman's Carnival, July 9th through the July 13th. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, and I think it's Wednesday they have their parade, and it's a good parade to come out and watch, isn't it, Wednesday?
Wednesday. Yeah,
So it'll be, the 10th, they'll have their parade, so everybody should come out and watch it.
Did the dunk tank there one year.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And I wasn't even first in line. I
You
didn't
want
even
people
get in
out for
line.
that? You do it all over,
Yes,
right?
please.
That's
Right.
Walter.
That's it.
That was a yes, right?
That was a yes,
Okay.
please.
Resolution adopted.
Yes, please. Throw the ball harder at the.
Resolution 410.
Appoints mechanic 2 to the Building and Grounds Division of the Town Engineers Department. So moved.
I'll second.
You okay with it?
I wasn't at the meeting. I don't know what-
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes, this is replacing a vacancy in that division,
Two.
so it's not, or two vacancies. It's not creating a new job, so yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
I'm not sure that, I'm gonna abstain. I wasn't here for the discussion.
Dunleavy.
This is gonna increase, the payroll because we're replacing a lower paid position with a higher paid position. I spoke to him about this, but I see we have a resolution appointing these two. So they need it, so I don't wanna hold it up, so I'm gonna vote yes.
Walter.
I was gonna look at something. As
Street
that's
roads.
right.
So, and this is replacing Greg Pollard, who was an MM2.
Right.
And then this is the whole field, the Uptown MM2.
And I vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 411.
Approves the Chapter 90 application of the Long Island Moose Classic Car Club, the car show on June 15th, 2013. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 412.
Appoints a wastewater treatment plant operator 2. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Oh, yes, we sent this
He always
young
wants it.
man to school, so, because we needed a plant operator, and he completed his course, so I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
And there's no increase in pay.
No.
Did you say? You did.
Thought that you made good.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 413.
Ratifies the appointment of a temporary student intern to the engineering department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 414.
Appoints a temporary substitute automobile equipment operator to the highway department, so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
One of the employees took a leave of absence, so this is a temporary replacement until he returns. Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 415.
Looking at all of the ones that are coming up.
You want to do 415, 416, 417, 418, 419,
2021.
20, is there any objection, 21, right? They're all appointing the recreation program, any objection to moving them all together,
One is the salaries. Do you want to keep that in there? Set salaries.
which was the salary?
419.
Okay,
It's a
let's
little
move,
bit different.
so let's move 415 through 418.
Okay, I'd like to move resolutions 415, 416, 417, and 418, which all have to deal with appointments of seasonal beach attendants, Poland lifeguards, recreational aides, and recreational leaders to the recreation department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded as to 418, 15 through 418. Vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolutions 415 through 418 are adopted. Resolution 419.
That sets the salaries for 2013 summer personnel for the recreation department. So moved.
And
Moved
seconded.
and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 420.
Appoints a seasonal clerk to the recreation department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
I tell you, I've had an opportunity to work with her a lot in the last few weeks with the Teen Idol coming up in June, and she's remarkable. She's really good. I vote yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 421.
Appoints a scorekeeper, level 1 to the recreation department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 422.
Approves the Chapter 90 application of the Peconic Community Friends of Riverhead Crew, Learning to Row, Saturday, June 1st, 2013. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Where is this being held?
Down at the end of McDermott Avenue.
Okay, is that the same day as the auction? Antique? All right, I'll say yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 423.
423 determines that the house located at 79 Phillips Street in Riverhead, New York, also known as Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-106-1-21, is an unsafe and abandoned structure and orders the Town Engineering Department to facilitate the remediation of said structure and to assess removal costs against the subject property. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 424.
Authorize supervisor to execute a memorandum of understanding regarding County of Suffolk and the Town of Riverhead Empire Zone. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 425.
Awards bids for snack vendors. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 426.
Approves Chapter 90 application of Starfish Junction Productions LLC, North Fork Craft Beer, Barbecue, and Wine Festival, August 10th, 2013. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Beer, barbecue, and wine.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Beer, barbecue, and wine, yes. 3,000 attendees.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 427.
427 adopts a local law to amend Chapter 108 of the Town Code of the Town of Riverhead entitled Zoning, Article 34, Multifamily Residential Professional Office Zone, 108-171 Landscaping, Screening, and Buffering. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 428.
Pays the bills. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Now we open the meeting for comment for any subject matters that may or may not be before the board. We ask you to limit your comments to 5 minutes, but I don't think we've ever enforced that. Dominic Mendez.
I won't be 5 minutes. I just wanted to thank the board.
Time? Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to thank the board for finally passing Resolution 427 to, I think, future possible homeowners along 25A and Wading River will appreciate the buffers, as will the people there. I wanted to specifically thank Councilwoman Giglio for taking this up and championing this in the Code Committee. And for the board, it took a little longer than we had anticipated. Boy, do the wheels of government move slowly on some issues, but it was kind of a no-brainer, we thought, and we're glad that you finally did it. I think it's going to be a good thing if they do develop it that way, to have more buffers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Judy Tilburg. I run a business down on 944 East Main Street. On May 8th, I was in civil court over next to the police station here. When I left, I was followed out by an obnoxious person, screaming, yelling, chasing me with his umbrella, cursing at me. I went back inside, and the girl said, that does the scanning there going into the court, said, "What's the matter?" She watched the guy. So I said to her, "Do you have videotapes of this guy?" Is when she informed me that there's no cameras outside the courthouse or the police station or this town hall. And I just can't imagine in this day and age, even with all of you walking out here at night, that there's not cameras anyway.
There are.
Everybody has where?
No, there aren't.
Well, I know. That's what I mean. I mean, we have cameras down the street. The police have used them 2 times. The Suffolk County Water Authority's come and used them. And you're talking about 2 judges coming out of there. You got all the parolees standing here on the side, and everybody coming in and out of there. And if something happens, you don't have a camera.
Agreed.
I agree with you.
Yep. Well, I hope, I know that you're moving, but you're not gonna be moving for a few years, them out of there.
Well, the municipal building probably should have some surveillance cameras.
That it's not that much money to put cameras in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to be heard? Not seeing
I make
anybody?
the motion, we close the town board meeting.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Is that Mr. Houghton? Are you on your bachelor's or your master's program?
I just finished my bachelor's, I'll start my master's in September.
Wow. We underpaid you. What are you taking your master's in? Where are you doing your
Intern
master's?
for the engineering department.